Hi guys, listen up punks. I'm MysteriousJG. Welcome back to Let's Play Mass Effect Andromeda. Last time we read through some Codex with limited enthusiasm. Let's do more of the same today. Oh, look at that human. He's wearing an interesting outfit, because if you figure that's what his skin looked like down there, he'd be in some trouble. Oh, early space flight. The human philosopher Plato once said, astronomy compels the soul to look upward and lead us up from this world to another. For much of its recorded history, humanity is... Why are we reading about this? Much of its recorded history, humanity is... I was actually at Kitty Hawk last week, which is interesting. Humanity has indeed looked at the night sky and dreamed of venturing to the stars. However, after the historic NASA Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969, the drive for crewed space exploration slowed as the government funding dried up. We moved towards cheaper unmanned probes. Oh, this is the message about space exploration? Okay. Yeah, no, I can kind of understand that. It's kind of a bummer that we're not really doing this anymore, but so one of the central obstacles was the expense of creating first-stage booster rockets that would be lost after each flight. But the lure of sending people into the cosmos never lost a straw. In the early 21st century, a private company called SpaceX pioneered efforts in sustainable space travel. By developing a reusable launch system, it revolutionized the field as the first entity, government or private, to successfully launch and then safely recover an orbital booster rocket intact, allowing it to be reused in future launches. Reusable hardware placed lower cost, sustainable space travel within reach. Galvanized by SpaceX's achievements, a renaissance in space exploration followed. Reusable launch system technology later became pivotal in establishing the European Space Agency's first permanent settlement in Mars Global City in 2103. Not sure how we unlocked that, but okay. Oh, we can read about Nakmor Morta. Leader of the Krogan colony, Tuchanka, Nakmor Morta recently seized even more definite power and declared herself overlord. From this position, she's able to exercise control for all aspects of the nascent colony and increase the chances of its survival. As a female, Morta's leadership and power are unique in Krogan society. Morta lived with the female clans in their camps on the Krogan homeworld, Tuchanka. A born leader, Morta rose to organize and coordinate many of these camps. Through sheer will... I guess it's unique that she has power. I'm just like, as a female, her leadership is unique? What? Okay, it's unique that she's a leader, even though she's a female. Even though they said that the female clans, like, ran their own shit without males. Through sheer will and against all odds, she made them thrive as stable, self-sustaining, and comfortable places to live and raise children. Morta herself is infertile. Morta's intelligence and ambition is matched by her inherent ruthlessness. Over time, she rose in power and reputation, was able to challenge clan leader Nakmor Kronak with the right of authority. She easily bested him and became leader of Clan Nakmor. She then focused her ambition on the betterment of the clan by joining the Andromeda initiative, even though she had been saying she wanted to blow it up. Andromeda species. Oh, fuck. There's going to be a whole bunch of boring new shit to read about these. Angara and Kett, although at least they're new. Outlaws are not a species, by the way. Angara and culture, law, and politics. Angara practices political philosophy of horizontal collectivism. All members of society are valued equally, and every citizen has a voice, but the ultimate goal is for individuals to promote the best interests of the entire civilization. Oh, they're communists. Just kidding. Angarans are expected to set aside personal preferences for the greater whole, and their laws reflect this. Crimes are evaluated and punished according to the pervasiveness of their impact. An unlawful act committed against a single person carries less weight than one affecting everyone in a family. Those who transgress in a way that undermines all Angaran society incur the maximum penalty. Leaders of large political collectives, like I as governor, are chosen through democratic elections preceded by contentious public debates. All candidates openly challenge each other, and in turn must answer any citizen who believes them unfit for office. Well, we don't really have that here, do we? By here, I mean America, I guess, because I'm an American. Elected officials serve a single term regardless of office. Ephra de Tersharv. Before Ephra de Tersharv assumed control, pardon me, commanded the resistance, he claims it was a disorganized and ineffectual group of zealots who were sliding into irrelevance. In fact, Jarl explains it was the resistance's failure to protect Ephra's family from the Kett that drove Ephra to join the group, with the goal of turning it into an effective guerrilla army it aspired to be. Resistance distributed literature explains that Ephra's single-minded dedication to his cause became evident when a successful raid on a Kett slave labor camp, reporting that Ephra's resistance forces liberated hundreds of Angaran prisoners before wiping out an entire battalion of Kett sent to stop the attack. According to Jal, Ephra is feared by his resistance subordinates and respected by Angaran leaders, but he remains an isolated individual. He keeps no close ties by design. Everyone of the resistance is expendable, and Ephra is said to understand too well the pain that comes with losing those closest to him. And he's got scars and stuff because he's all tough. Angaran culture. Our first cultural exchanges quickly reveal that there is no homogeneous Angaran culture. Oh, so they don't all watch America's Got Talent. Development on separate planets has left striking differences in Angaran social norms that are yet to be reconciled. Some common threads can be established. The Angara prize familial unity, prefer to live, work, and raise children in extended family groups. Political factions tend to emerge from these extended families with leaders elected by popular support. Spirituality has a role in Angaran daily life, with their calendar making space for their religious holidays of many different faiths. As a safe and hospitable garden world, Aya has emerged as the center of Angaran society and trade. With many communities facing harsh conditions and resource shortages, a lottery system is used to transfer personnel to Aya for extended periods. These Rabba Garesan, roughly sanctuary trips, also serve to pool reclaimed scientific knowledge and military training. Military doctrine. The Kett conquest of the Angaran several decades ago has left their military forces virtually extinct. The few warships and ground forces survived the initial attacks were lost through attrition to planetary defense. In place of an organized military, the Angaran must now rely on the resistance. Angaran leaders composed articles of war and submitted them as laws to be followed by these volunteer soldiers. The rules of engagement reflect a mindset prioritizing preservation of Angaran life and culture over vengeance on the Kett. Resistance soldier confronted by a Kett base filled with Angaran slaves, cultural artifacts, and Kett guards is expected to rescue slaves and reclaim artifacts first. Any Kett would then be destroyed with expediency and minimal cruelty, not to spare the Kett, but to uphold the integrity of Angaran civilization. Aksul. So was a former student of the Moshai, was captured by the Kett while studying radar technology. Is this the guy that we rescued from the prison? Like, are we really going to have a whole entry on him? He spent a year in forced labor camp before escaping a handful of other prisoners. Scarred physically and mentally by the experience, he turned his back on the studies of his life on Aya to form the Rokar. Oh, he's a Rokar dude. Never mind. A xenophobic fighting force who used guerrilla tactics against both the Kett and Milky Way species. Jal describes Aksul as annoyingly magnetic and a born leader. Among all of the Moshai students, Aksul learned the quickest. He was always surrounded by his friends and admirers. Before his imprisonment, the Moshai believed Aksul would be the one to carry on her legacy. His change of personality hit her the hardest. Spirituality. Spirituality plays an important role in the Angaran life, and Angaran children are raised in their first moments to follow their family's spiritual traditions. Within most Angaran faith systems, there are deities to fear or worship, and focus is placed on personal growth and the betterment of the soul. So they have deities to fear. If Angaran children won't be quiet and go to bed, they are threatened that Jangli will come and eat them in the night. All Angaran are taught the importance of meditation and quiet contemplation, and one common teaching is that the soul can be heard when the mind is still. Angaran also believe that the growth of the soul continues after death through rebirth. From cultural exchanges and Angaran spiritual texts, most, if not all, Angaran appear to believe in reincarnation. When a person dies, they are reborn within the same family. A good act, so if your family sucks, you're screwed. A good act performed in one life contributes to greater enlightenment in the next. The importance placed on different types of good acts seems to vary from planet to planet, and even from family to family. For instance, some Angara may value acts of heroism, others acts of compassion. The variety appears limitless. Not really. You just gave two broad things that cover most things that would be valued. Some Angaran value acts of eating vegetables, while others value acts of polishing brass. Our encounter on the infinite variety of things that are valued, if things like that are valued. Our encounter on Haval with the Angaran called Tavos, believed to be reincarnation of an ancient Angaran champion, has proved some scientific evidence for this belief. What? Provided scientific evidence for reincarnation. Huh. Sure. Yeah, they did give us some weird mystical bullshit that games like this always want to throw in there and then not be able to explain. However, further investigation is needed before definite conclusions can be drawn. Yeah, so a previous plot point did not establish that reincarnation is real. The Macho Man Randy Savage taught us reincarnation doesn't have to be. Yeah. Garland Lost Colony Worlds. So, there's a great musical you can see in North Carolina about the Angaran Lost Colony Worlds. Oh, God, I mentioned that. Oh, man. My laptop died. That had my timer on it. Alright, well, I got a blue screen to death on my laptop. This happened a couple of weeks ago, so I'm getting uneasy about it now. But I'm 10 minutes into the video, so I'll just eyeball for myself. I need to be done at about 10 after. Okay. I better move my laptop so I can see the VCR, well, not VCR clock. I think of it as a VCR clock. It's actually a clock on my cable box. You're fascinated to hear about this, I'm sure. There was a musical that I saw while on vacation with my family in the Outer Banks of North Carolina called Lost Colony. It was about a colony that the British tried to establish in North Carolina before later establishing the Jamestown colony, which was the first permanent successful settlement. I don't know if I mentioned this musical in the previous video or the video that was lost. Either way, okay. My laptop had a screen that said it was going to recover some info and then restart, and it didn't look like that was happening, but now it looks like it is, so huzzah. Scourge, okay, yeah, Lost Colonies, making me think of a musical theater presentation about a failed North American colony. Lots of songs that were basically praying. If you can imagine what a musical being staged in North Carolina about North Carolina history would be like, then this would be it. The Scourge disaster sent Angaran civilization into a dark age. Records of their golden era of technological advancement and proliferation through space only survived as oral history, making it difficult to separate truth from legend. Nevertheless, ooh. That's not good. Got an error message saying that I could not detect my solid-state drive on my laptop here. I am probably going to have to... Okay. An isolated Angaran world is gradually... Damn. Well, I'm at the boot menu. Alright, fuck. So my laptop may have just died on me. But I'm going to try to like just chill out and hope that I can power it down and power it back up, and it'll be working. But it did not appear to be detecting the solid state drive. There is the boot drive. That would be bad. Right in the middle of me reading the fucking Codex too. I've had some bad luck with computers this last year. Nevertheless, Angaran believed they had colonized numerous planets across the cluster before the Scourge's devastation left them cut off from each other for centuries. As isolated Angaran worlds gradually rebuilt their technology and redeveloped space programs, the first mission was re-establishing contact with other lost colonies. A few such planets formed the coalition and now fight the Kett. The question remains if more Angaran worlds are still hidden by the Scourge, awaiting rediscovery. If they do exist, it's possible to know. It's impossible to know what stage of development these worlds are at, what help they might offer against the Kett, and whether they will accept the initiative's presence in the Helios cluster. Angaran languages. Jack. Woo. Jack. Woo. Angaran linguists describe between 200 to 300 public languages across their combined settlements. When accounting for family languages spoken privately and passed down over generations, the number climbs rapidly into the thousands. The language used by most Angara across the Helios cluster is Shalesh, a lingua franca, that was commonly used in the early days of Angaran spaceflight before fading into obscurity. New connections between Angaran settlements and constant evolution of languages since their separation means it has now seen a revival. Sources say Shalesh originally meant to barter for the moon, apparently a joke or pun around the idea of trading between interstellar colonies. Oh, great. Fucking, just because Tolkien did it doesn't mean you need to come up with fake-ass words for your universe. Fine. So, they speak some kind of Angaran Esperanto. Got it. Angaran, civilized people, those who have put down roots, derived from Ange, meaning anchor. Dar, literally rock, the term for a village or small outpost. Jeravan, galaxy. Jeravan literally means our galaxy, commonly referred to Andromeda, while Jeravan Imasef, the massive shell galaxy, refers to the Milky Way. Parad, know or to learn. Shena, the mouth. Tavatan, a friend or tutored comrade, or trusted comrade, one who would be vouched for to the rest of the family. Vesagata, uprooted people, exiles, a derogatory term for those from the Milky Way, most often used by the Rokar. Angara and the Rokar. Look at those awesome fetish costumes they wear. Jal describes the Rokar as dangerous. Oh, these guys are like rock stars. They should talk like rock stars. Jal describes the Rokar as dangerous cousins. Ruthless and single-minded, the Rokar's propaganda describes their intent to drive all Lily invaders, both Milky Way and Kett, out of the Helios cluster. The rock stars were founded by Axul, a charismatic Angara who once studied with the Moshai. Jal explains that Axul was captured by the Kett and held in a forced labor camp for over a standard year, while the resistance could not risk a rescue. Though he survived, Axul was embittered against the resistance and alien life. Upon his escape, he recruited young Angara and disaffected resistance members into an independent force named after fearsome soldiers from Angara mythology, the Rokar, aka rock stars. The arrival of the Nexus, portrayed as further invaders by Axul, provoked the Rockstar past breaking point. I'll get it eventually. They are now engaged in full-fledged guerrilla operations against all non-Angara inhabitants of the cluster. The Angara resistance officially disavows the Rockstars, but family and political interconnections complicate any organized opposition to them. Technology. Considering their civilization endured both the immense disaster of the Scourge and the brutal Kett invasion, Angara possess remarkably advanced technology. Their starships, while generally small and bare bones functional, are more than capable of keeping pace with Andromeda Initiative vessels. Angara use advanced communications and computer systems that have quickly adapted to interface with Milky Way devices, helping to smooth through some of the technological hurdles of the first contact. When it comes to personal technology, Angara have focused primarily on defense and offensive innovations. Their weapons and armor are impressive enough to garner approval from Krogan who have witnessed them in battle, and are designed to work seamlessly with the innate Angaran control over electromagnetism. The Angaran are in turn fascinated by Milky Way omnitools and have already begun experimenting with the technology for their own use. I kind of blanked on. I was just reading that without engaging my head because I'm thinking about my laptop. What did I actually just say? They have weapons and armor. Oh, it's all their innate electromagnetism nonsense. Gar have also dedicated study to Kett technology firsthand. If relations are made cordial, this technology may become invaluable. Technological knowledge. Economics. Angara rely on participatory mixed economy, applying elements of socialism, capitalism, and an informal barter system. Exact manner of market control varies on contextual basis, reflecting the needs of a civilization primarily focused on survival. Basic goods and services are deemed essential to life and are provided as fundamental rights, with citizens voting annually to determine exact resource allocations. Advanced personal technology or luxury items are acquired through state-controlled capitalist market. Producers and vendors are licensed by the government and monitored by arbiters to ensure they don't negatively impact essential services. Within families and talented organizations like the Resistance, individual members freely trade goods and services without using currency. Value placed upon something can vary wildly according to a person's needs. Disputes over barter trades are rare, as Angaran take a long-term and generous view of economic interactions with each other. The Resistance. The arrival of the Kett stunned and then divided the Angara. As described by Jal, infighting was used as a means of conquest by the Kett, but the presence of a common enemy eventually galvanized the Angara to work together. The various resistance groups merged into the organized Angaran resistance roughly 5 years ago, under Ephra de Tershev's command, supported by prominent families and determined to stop their Kett oppressors. The resistance headquarters are on Aya. For security reasons, neither Ephra nor Jal will provide details of the Resistance's organizational structure, but it can be assumed that there are multiple independent cells across the cluster. Yeah, makes sense. Many non-resistance Angara support their work either logistically or financially. The Resistance specializes in assassination, sabotage of Kett facilities, deployment of supplies to besieged populations, and the rescue and rehabilitation of Angaran prisoners. Many members of the Angaran Resistance have joined up with the Nexus militia, enlisting Apex support for their missions. Some senior officials have opened treaty negotiations with the Nexus. Oh, now here's the Angara entry on Angara. And you can see zombie Angara. Angara are the only known sentient species local to the Helios cluster. Scattered across numerous worlds, the Angara are reuniting as a people. Through much of their culture and scientific knowledge has been lost, Angara continue to rebuild and resist conquest of Helios. From our cultural exchanges, we know that the Angara have a unique control of electromagnetism. Specialized skin cells and organs allow them to generate and control electromagnetic fields artistically or unleash them in combat. Oral histories describe how ancient Angara were tribal and nomadic before settling in cities. Many of them still live in large, tight-knit families and workplaces and have a guild-like organizational structure. Politically, the Angara remained divided. Attempts at a reformed government were disrupted by the Kett. Approximately 5 years ago, a coherent resistance movement emerged on Aya, the first to draw unilateral political support, with the goal of driving the Kett out of Helios for good. Biology. Though there are variations from adapting to different planets, all Angara are warm-blooded mammals that favor a cool, wet climate. Angaran females typically give birth to several young who require support and supervision, resulting in large extended families that become accustomed to living and working together. Donated Angaran anatomy textbooks reveal that the epidermis of their skin is photoelectric and photovoltaic. Specialized electrolyte cells were regulated by a specialized organ called the tauan, allowing Angaran to generate a much greater electromagnetic field than most organic species and exercise fine control over it. When needed, an Angaran can unleash an electromagnetic pulse that damages weapons and electronics. Minimized pulses transmitted through touch serve as social cues. Like, basically, be careful shaking Angaran's hand because he's got a built-in joy buzzer. Many historical records of the Angaran have been lost, but what survives, this is Angaran history, tells the story of how ancient Angara specifically achieved spaceflight. Eventually, they settled on 5 separate garden worlds, including Vold. The scourge struck in approximately 2400 CE by our calendar, hence CE. The phenomenon devastated the Helios cluster and destroyed many Angaran cities and sent their culture into a decline. This dark age lasted for over a century before the Angaran began to adapt to the new conditions in Helios. Eventually, the disparate Angara regained spaceflight capability and reestablished contact with one another, but the isolation had fostered separate cultural, political, and spiritual blocks. The Angaran struggled to find common ground. The struggle was ongoing when the Kett arrived 75 years ago. The Archon exploited their disparity and began a brutal conquest of the Helios cluster. Ironically, as several Angaran historians point out, a common enemy proved to be the impetus to unite. Today, the Angaran continue their efforts at reconstruction and resistance. And finally, Moshai. Part scientific genius, part cultural icon, part sexy celebrity. MysteriousJG is treated with an almost religious reverence by everyday Angara. Her technological innovations have touched nearly every facet of the civilization and were instrumental in the construction of Aya's capital city. Her analysis of the Kett threat have slowed the enemy's conquest of the Helios cluster by informing the tactics and goals of the resistance for decades. From Jal's recollections, the Moshai chafes at her celebrity status and prefers to work in solitude. Unlike most Angara, MysteriousJG doesn't belong to a large extended family. She claims she has never married nor born children, focusing on her life's work of unraveling the mysteries of remnant technology. Her goal, stated in many of her writings, is to unlock the secrets of the remnant for the benefit of all Angara, helping them to overcome the Kett and restore Angaran civilization to its pre-scourge greatness. Whew. That was a lot. I think I probably could stop here and try to see if my laptop needs to be taken for repairs. This video will be a little on the short side, but I'm kind of having a hard time concentrating while worrying about my laptop anyway. So when we come back, folks, I guess I'll know whether my laptop's working. Luckily, I bought it as like a refurbished laptop. I bought it from the guys who normally fix my computers when anything's wrong with them. I don't think I still have the receipts, but I mean, if they can go back and look, I don't know. Hopefully they'll take care of me. We'll see. Talk to you guys later.